Hi, this is Alvaro from Foley Collection, and today we are going to show you a small review of all our instruments.
And I'm Mike Thornton, and together in this review we're going to show you how you can use the Foley Collection instruments to add Foley to your projects using a small clip from an episode of Misfits. We've already laid up some streamers for each of the sequences in the clip. A green streamer to mark the start of the first footsteps, yellow for the start of the next character in the distance, and a red streamer to mark the start of the first character running. You can see the template that we're using, and the first thing we're going to do is to show just the Foley tracks, as that's what we're going to be working on. On the Foley channels, we've got an instance of Kontakt 4, the full version. Foley Collection needs the full version. The Kontakt player just won't work with the Foley Collection. For the first character we need men's shoes, and we're going to try this one running on asphalt, and we drag the .nki file into Kontakt. And you can see now that we have the asphalt runners as the first instrument in Kontakt. We could set that to MIDI port 1 or just leave it on Omni. So let's drop into record and lay some footsteps down. We'll zoom in a bit and check the sync. That's okay. We need to delete a couple of notes. Let's zoom in even more and edit the MIDI, so we don't need that one, and we don't need this one. And we can move the MIDI notes so we can get each footstep exactly in sync. Let's play it again to review it. Okay, there are a couple of footsteps that aren't quite right. So we can move the MIDI notes until the footsteps are bang in sync. Let's check again. Great, that's his footsteps sorted. Now we can add some clothes. Back to the library and let's find some clothes to add to his footsteps. So into the clothing folder and let's go for some jeans. And again drag the .nki file into Kontakt in Pro Tools. Now when we play, we get the sound of the footsteps and the sound of his jeans rubbing as he walks. Perhaps we should add the sound of a tracksuit as well. We can play just the close with these notes, or we can play everything together. Now we can start mixing the different elements, and we can use the MIDI Learn feature in Kontakt to set controller 1 to control the level of the footsteps, and controller 2 to the jeans, and 3 to the tracksuit. But we also need to assign the controls in Kontakt to the host parameters so we can write automation in Pro Tools for the volume of each sound element. So we simply drag parameter 0 to the first one, the footsteps, second parameter to the jeans, and the third parameter to the tracksuit. Now we can close that bit up and do a pass and write the automation for the mix of these three sounds. Okay, that's working, but it's missing something. Let's add some keys jangling in his pocket, especially when he starts to run. In add-ons, we can find keys, and we can drag that into Kontakt in Pro Tools and set up the next controller to the volume of the keys and assign the next host parameter as well, so we can automate the keys volume. Let's just try that. Okay, now we can mix in the keys with our footsteps and clothing sounds. There we go. Now we need to move over to the woman. So back to our library. Let's choose the woman's heels on concrete. And set to Omni, both the man's and woman's footsteps will play together. So one solution is to move the woman's heels by an octave so they play here. And then adjust the tuning so we get the right sound, and we can also use the pitch bend wheel on the keyboard like this. And of course we need to add some close to the woman's footsteps. So back into the library and let's look for leather clothing and drag that into Kontakt. Set that to Omni and let's see how that sounds. Notice how the close sound play after the footsteps, especially when she's moving slowly for a realistic sound. That's great. So as before, we assign the heels and the leather clothing volumes so we can automate them. As we're adding notes into the MIDI track, we need to turn on the MIDI merge, and now we're ready to record the woman's footsteps. So that's the footsteps, and now we can record the mix automation. Let's just check the sync, so we zoom into the MIDI notes and take a look. And we can just slide the notes around to get the footsteps bang in sync. And let's take one last listen. But the Foley collection is not just about footsteps and the related sounds like clothing and keys. There are a whole load of other instruments, and we wanted to finish this video by showing you some of them. Let's start with Laugh. If you've ever had to track layer comedy with normal sound effects, you'll immediately see the possibilities of the Foley Collection's Laugh Kontakt instrument. Watch the keyboard and see how we're triggering the different elements. Here are some different laughs. But what about a mountain bike? Here's the basic bike sound, but you can use other keys to play different parts of the bike. One of the other libraries is phones. Here's an iPhone, and then we can have the key sound, and then the phone rings and it includes the sound of the vibration on the table, and we can adjust the ring sound separately from the vibrate. Or we can go for an older landline type phone. Here are the DTMF tones, and we can also have the key presses just on their own. And all of these are sampled by the team at Foley Collection. How about a Nokia phone? Opening and closing the phone, ringtone, and there's also a selection of line tones. Next, I want to show you the Olivetti typewriter instrument. We can type, the space bar, and then when you hit the end of the line, the carriage return. To finish up, we want to show you a new instrument that the team at Foley Collection are working on: horses. You can have the horse on different surfaces. And then there are add-ons built into a tab in the window like this. And they're planning to get this module out soon. We hope this video has given you an insight into how you could use the Foley Collection to handle your Foley needs. See you again soon.